And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to Inside the Bubble, a special state tournament preview show here on KARE 11 Plus and MNHockey.tv. Joined always by Brandon Spratt. I'm Matt Harrington. And Brandon, here we go. It's our favorite time of the year, state tournament time on the boys' side. And a lot of new teams in Class AA and a lot of the same in Single A this year.
Yeah, it's a very intriguing field, like you said, for different reasons. The Single A field is kind of loaded. 7 of the top 10 teams in the state. We'll get into that in a moment. And then AA, it's just 2 of the top 10 and only one number 1 seed from the 8 sections, which has not happened in a very long time. It's going to definitely be an intriguing tournament, Matt.
Well, we're going to start taking a look at the bracket now for both classes. We're going to start on the Class A side, and we will go in chronological order of those games that start tomorrow, Wednesday that is, and we'll start with an unseeded team. It is the New Ulm Eagles representing Section 3A. The Eagles finished the regular season with an impressive 23-5 record, almost averaging close to 6 goals per game as well. Very high-flying offense there. This will be their first time at the state tournament since 2019. And they, of course, had a little bit of help as the top seed in their section. The Laverne Cardinals were upset by the Marshall Tigers in the section semifinals. But Brandon, this New Ulm team, they score a lot of goals, but they're going to certainly have a challenge in their opening game no matter who they play. But regardless, it's still a very impressive team with a lot of high-flying offense.
Yeah, you said it, New Ulm, one of the top scoring teams. I believe they're tied for the top scoring team in Class A this season. So they're coming in with a lot of firepower, a lot of experience as well.
Austin Euchre leading the team with 79 points, and goaltender Briar Hoffman with a .910 save percentage, the leading goaltender there for the Eagles. And they will take on the number 2 seed in Class A. It is the Warroad Warriors representing Section 8A. They're back in the tournament for the 3rd straight year. Heartbreak last year for the Warroad Warriors as they finished up runner-up again. And they, of course, are led by Mr. Hockey semifinalist Carson Pilgrim. And Warroad, again, 4.5 goals per game, just 5 losses during the regular season. They went 4-1 versus tournament teams. A team with a lot of history, Brandon, that is trying to finally get over that hump and win their first title since 2005.
Yes, they're going for state tournament win number 5. As you said, it's been 19 years. Look out for this power play, Matt. They scored all 4 of their goals in the section final. Overtime win over EGF on the power play, and obviously players like Carson Pilgrim, Ryan Lund leading the way. It was actually Broden Hontvet, the sophomore, with the game-winning goal to send the Warriors to state. And now we go to our next matchup, same side of the bracket, for an unseeded squad, the champions of Section 1, making their 3rd ever state tournament appearance. It is the Northfield Raiders. Northfield 22-4-2 in the regular season. This is a team buoyed by the special teams, really. Their 40+% power play, tied with Minnetonka for number 1 in the state. A very good penalty kill as well at 87%. And Matt, this is also a good defensive squad as well. They were tied for 1st in Class A in goals allowed per game.
Yeah, it's a very impressive Northfield team, 1.79 goals against per game. And you mentioned that power play over 40%. That is going to be a real problem for whoever they play in the state tournament. Of course, they lost to Orono last year in overtime of the state quarterfinal, so they'll be hoping to have a better result this year.
Northfield's road to the state tournament, defeating Dodge County in the section final. Look out for Cam Kaiser, 35+ goals this season to lead the Raiders. And on the other side, earning the 3 seed is the St. Cloud Cathedral Crusaders. 23-4-1, a great season under Coach Robbie Stocker. They'll be making their 2nd straight state tournament appearance. And they are riding a 12-game winning streak coming into the state tournament. Their last loss was to Hermantown in January. Matt, that includes a 4-2 win over Northfield back in late January. So these teams have a level of familiarity.
Yes, they do. It's a very impressive team. As you mentioned, 12-game winning streak. That's the longest of any tournament team entering play. And their goals against very low as well at 2.1. So it's been impressive to see what St. Cloud Cathedral can do. And of course, John Hirschfeld, the guy that stands out, 75 points for him. He has pretty much doubled his point total almost every year. It's been impressive to watch his growth.
Hirschfeld, a junior, is the leader in the state with 51 assists this season. You look at that incredible top scorers list. They form that great top line with Gillespie and Dwinell. And also a note, you mentioned the goals against. Senior goaltender Nick Hansen is unbeaten this season, 16-0-1. He missed 11 games, and Cathedral sort of fought through that, but Hansen is back, and Cathedral will be looking to make a deep run.
All right, we will move on now to the evening session on Wednesday night. We will take a look at the unseeded team in the 6 p.m. game, and it is the Alexandria Cardinals with a record of 18-9-1, representing Section 6A. 9-1 in their last 10 are the Cardinals, and they lost 7 of their first 12 games, but really turned it around, winning 14 of their final 16 games, and it's been impressive to see their turnaround. Of course, they did play a couple of tournament teams as well, but this is an Alexandria Cardinals team similar to last year, Brandon. Slow start, but they're really finding their groove right now.
Absolutely, and it's a program that can kind of keep churning out depth. They have good youth teams, good numbers. You churn out some depth. Look at players like Gavin Olson and Jack Lamsky up front. Lamsky, the defender, is a big player for them on the blue line. And they have very solid goaltending in Brady Metcalf. It will have to be going up against their opponents in the first round. And
their opponent will be the top seed in Class A. It is the Hermantown Hawks, representing Section 7A, a record of 18-8-2. And if that seems like a lot of losses, that's because it is. It's the most the Hawks have had in a season in quite some time. Since 2008, this is their most losses in a year, but they still get that number 1 seed. They played by far the toughest schedule of any Class A team during the regular season, and they still have a very high goals per game, averaging just about 4 goals per game. And when you look at those numbers, there aren't a ton of guys with a lot of points, Brandon, but it's a team that has depth in those forward lines, defense and goaltending.
Great depth, and as well, you mentioned the D, led by Will Esterbrooks. Always, Pat Andrews' squad has great D. They play very solid in front of the goaltender. And oh, by the way, the goaltender's pretty good in his own right. Dane Calloway with some sparkling numbers, that .938 save percentage, leading the Class A field this season.
Very impressive stuff there. And we'll look at the final game now as well for the quarterfinals in Class A.
So we have our 4-5 game coming up here. Both teams seeded. We start with the 5 seed, the Orono Spartans. 20 wins, 8 losses, no ties. The champions of Section 2 had matching wins in the section playoffs of 4-1 scores over Providence Academy in Minneapolis. They avoid their big rivals Delano after they were upset in the section semis by Minneapolis. This Orono squad, Matt, the names are a little bit different. You look at the leading scorer charts, you have Jackson Knight, Rory Cavern, sophomore forwards who have stepped into big roles. The defenders, Joey Mugas and John Engebretson, also in their top scoring charts. The goaltender, Peyton Anderson, replacing Brock Payton. So Peyton, a theme, although it was the surname, of course, for the previous goaltender. But Sean Fish gets Orono to its second straight state tournament.
Yeah, it's been an up and down season, certainly, for the Spartans. But interestingly enough, even though they have 8 losses, they did not lose back-to-back games at all during the regular season, which is an impressive stat in its own. But the goals per game averaging 4 just about roughly, and then 8-2 in their last 10. So it's a team that has had some experience in recent years. Of course, they won the state title back in 2018. So it's going to be a tough matchup for any team, certainly, that faces the Orono Spartans.
And Orono's last loss, Matt, it was pushing number 2 seed in Double-A, Chan. That's a little sneak preview. They pushed them to overtime back in February in a Metro West Conference game. In as the 4 seed, the champions of Section 4, the champs are back. The 2023 Class A state champion Matamidi, 17-11 this season. They are in for the 8th time in the last 10 years. They got a major test in the section final from upstart Southwest Christian Richfield, winning on a Sam Harris goal 26 seconds into overtime to return to the state tournament. And Matt, since losing by a score of 8-1 to St. Thomas Academy back on February the 1st, it's an 8-game winning streak for the Zephyrs that took them from under 500 to the state tournament. And this is a team that's rolling. It's not a team I would want to play in the state tournament right now.
Yeah, absolutely not. It's a team that's found their groove down the second half of the season. And as he mentioned, 8 straight, of course, defending state champs as well. So they have the experience that was on their roster. And it's still a mix of youth and veteran players. But overall, it's a really solid team that has some quality wins on the schedule. We know they always play a tough schedule, very similar to Hermantown. They do have the most losses in the Class A field at 11. But again, you throw that all out the window at this point, and you just start from scratch.
A little bit of motto magic this season. They lose their top 7 scorers from last year and return to St. Paul this year. They earn the 4 seed by virtue of a 5-2 head-to-head win over Orono back on December 30th. Well, that's going to wrap up the Class A bracket. but we're going to dive into some of our cinematic recaps from a very exciting section final week. We'll start out at Braemar, Section 2AA final. It was Minnetonka, the number 1 seed against Chanhassen.
It's the game everybody's been waiting for. It's the Section 2AA final. It features the Minnetonka Skippers and the Chanhassen Storm as they do battle here for Braemar Arena. Alongside me, Pete Wagner, is Brandon Spratt. Brandon, these two teams played earlier this year, and not surprising, overtime for that one, just like in the section final last year.
4 times over the last 3 seasons, every single game has been tight, and we have no reason to expect anything else here tonight. What an atmosphere in here. It is charged in many ways from both sides of Braemar. The Chan fans on the west side and the Tonka fans here on the east side. We are set for a classic.
It's now Gavin Gary from behind. He puts on the brakes. Gary up to players, or check that was Mahadi. Big glove save made there. The crowd over on the far side loved it.
Of course, Hendrickson's such a big piece, and he came back to playing a game like this, right? Obviously, that was kind of the dominant story of the fall, wasn't it? Will he, won't he? But number 1 in the crease for Chan, he's going to have to come up big tonight.
Skippers with an offensive zone infraction, so to see the Storm power play.
Gavin Gary going to the box. Chanhassen 27% on the power play. Minnetonka, a very sturdy 84.6% on the kill. So 2 strong units.
Around the wall, kept in by the Storm. Up high it goes. They're going to get that one down for Eulenkamp. Scores! Oh, Andy Earl! One-time blast from the slot. 1-0 Storm. From Moore, and now here come the Storm. It's Earl across the line. Looks down low. Scores! In off the skates. And it's 2-0. That's going to be Willis going hard to the net, taking the feed from Earl. That'll do it for period number 1. A heavyweight matchup between these two teams. Round 1 to the Storm, 2-0. Through center. Oh, nice job to play it down. Here comes Sheets. Save made by Hendrickson. Holds his ground on the rebound. And out of the zone they go. Saxon. Now it's Moore with it. Top of the right circle. Shot off the face mask and gobbled up by Hendrickson. The Storm live another day as they kill that one off. As that does it for period number 2. 2-0 still. No goals scored here in this period. Up front, Sheets is there. Puck's loose. Scramble. We're playing rugby again, and that one is covered up and whistled down with 2:50 to go. Back over for Stout. Shot save. Scores! Oh, a big shot from up high. And it's 2-1. Look out! Watched by Smith. 1:17 to go. Now it's going to be Stout. Drops that one back. Across the line goes Gary. Now to the right wing side for Schultz. He can rip it. Save. Rebound. Back in behind. Now it's Gary. Woo, this is not for the faint of heart. Schultz now walks the line. Shallow angle. Could they do it? 8 seconds out front. Eulenkamp. Shot save. Oh, a big one made there by Hendrickson. 3 seconds. 2, 1. And the Chanhassen Storm upset the Minnetonka Skippers and are the Section 2AA champions. And they're heading to the Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament for the first time in school history.
One new place, plus 2 of everything, plus 1 budget. Life math is complicated, Financial experts
Hi there.
make it easier. Affinity Plus. Getting a free streaming trial. Plus, forgetting to cancel it. Life math is complicated. Fewer overdraft fees make it easier. Learn more at affinityplus.org/betterthanfree.
The Rink Live, your home for Minnesota high school boys and girls hockey coverage. From player profiles to team analysis, previews, brackets, insights, and more. Follow your favorite teams from regular season games to tournaments and beyond with The Rink Live. Head to therinklive.com for everything hockey.
As part of state tournament week, it is also awards week, as we will have a Mr. Hockey, a Frank Brimzik Award for the top senior goaltender, and then the Reed Larson Award as well. And let's take a look at the 10 finalists for Mr. Hockey in the year 2023-24. And we'll go in alphabetical order here, starting at the top. Hagen Burrows of Minnetonka. His teammate, Trevon Moore, also of Minnetonka. You have Edina's Jackson Nevers. Warroad's Carson Pilgrim, one of two Class A finalists. Nolan Road of White Bear Lake, we will also see in the state tournament. John Stout of Minnetonka is the third skipper. Chanhassen's Gavin Eulenkamp for the Storm. Noah Ernest of Roseau. Reese Wallen of Wayzata. And the other Class A finalist, Matt, Louis Wayman of Providence Academy. And what's standing out to you about this group here? It's a very solid group of Mr. Hockey finalists.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this year it feels like there's a lot more parity, and really a handful of players from this list could win the award. Of course, what stands out too is Minnetonka has 3 semifinalists for Mr. Hockey. I believe that has not been done since Lakeville North had their undefeated season back in 2015. So it's an impressive group of players that the skippers were able to get on that list. And of course, you have a couple of Class A players that you mentioned, Louis Wayman of Providence Academy. The Lions, of course, did not make the state tournament, but Wayman's still an incredible player. And then you have Carson Pilgrim of Warroad, who we touched on a bit earlier. Really good field. I thought there were some players that should have been on the list as well. Harper Searles, perhaps, from Centennial, just missed the cut. But it's a loaded field, and it's going to be tough to narrow down a winner, that's for sure.
And of course, a note on Mr. Hockey, the last several winners have been from northern Minnesota. Roseau's Ernest and Warroad's Pilgrim will look to bring another Mr. Hockey back to the Northland. We'll also look at the Frank Brimzik Award finalists. Speaking of Minnetonka, the recognition keeps on coming. First finalist, Hunter Bauer of Minnetonka. He gets 1 season to start in the Nets, but had a fantastic season. He's joined by the goaltender who opposed him in the Section 2AA final that you just saw before the break, Cam Hendrickson of Chanhassen, who had an unbelievable year. And then AJ Railtz of Proctor, Matt, the Lindenwood University commit, we talked about him quite a bit on the show all season, and we get a Class A finalist to go with the 2 from 2AA.
Yeah, it's an impressive list here as well. You mentioned Bauer, just the one season, and helped the Skippers to just only one loss on the season. And then Chanhasen's Cam Hendrickson, very solid goaltender as well. I believe that save percentage northwards of .950 on the year, which is impressive. And then, of course, AJ Rails as well. Very solid for the Proctor Rails in goal. Of course, they ended up losing to Hermantown in the Section 7A semifinals. But this is another great trio of goaltenders. I wish we would have made the finalist list a little bit more instead of the 3. I think there were some others, including Joe Bertram of Edina, who I would have considered for perhaps a wider group of candidates. But overall, it's a very good group, and it's going to be tough to narrow down a winner here as well, too.
And then finally, we have the Reed Larson Award. This is, of course, the newest of the trio. It's presented by Let's Play Hockey, and we will have the honor of having the announcement live from our booth at the Let's Play Hockey Expo on Saturday. Let's take a look at the finalists for that award as well. And you'll notice a distinct AA flavor to this list of 6 finalists. Owen Bisgins of Chan leads off the list. Edina's Barrett Dexheimer and Wyzetta's Hawk Huff out of Section 6. Warroad has big Ryan Lund, and what a player he is as well. The only Class A finalist for the Reed Larson Award. Mason Stenger of Benilde St. Margaret's and John Stout of Minnetonka. Matt, we were talking about this list here. Of course, Stout, I mean, what an honor for him. He's a Mr. Hockey and Reed Larson finalist. But how about top 5 teams in Class AA each getting a player up for the Reed Larson Award this year? Pretty remarkable.
It is, and you mentioned Minnetonka and John Stout. They have a candidate on all 3, actually, of those major awards. So great season for the Skippers. Yeah, absolutely, Brandon. It's a loaded field, and you mentioned John Stout and Minnetonka. The Skippers all have nominees in those major categories, so it's an impressive season nonetheless for the Skippers. And Ryan Lund as well, very big guy out there on the blue line for Warroad. And you mentioned some of those other candidates as well. Barrett Dexheimer from Edina had a terrific season. Of course, committed to UMass out east. Very good field as well. It goes to show the depth of Class AA as well. You mentioned with those top 5 teams all getting a nominee.
That is our awards preview. And now we're going to take it back out to Braemar. Matt, you and I had a chance to be on the call on Friday night for the Section 3 AA final, Cretin-Derham Hall against St. Thomas Academy, 2 of the oldest rivals in any sport in the state of Minnesota at the high school level. Let's take a look at the recap of that one.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to historic Braemar Arena here in Edina, Minnesota, as we get ready for the Section 3 AA final, our final high school game of the season right here on MNHockey.tv. It is the Cretin-Derham Hall Raiders and the St. Thomas Academy Cadets. It's one of the oldest rivalries in high school sports here in Minnesota. Cretin-Derham Hall and St. Thomas Academy. They met in the section final last year with the Raiders winning that one 4-2. Cadets won earlier in the year, but needless to say, I don't think this game needs much of an introduction between these two.
It really does not. It was already a great rivalry, of course. Then we introduced the section element into it. These teams meeting for the 2nd year in a row in the section final, and as we classic uni matchup as well that I know we're fond of keeping track of. Here we go.
And that will do it for the first period of play. We are scoreless after the first here between Cretin-Derham Hall and St. Thomas Academy. Certainly some good looks on both ends, Brandon, and I think both teams will be fine going into the locker room with a tie game.
10 teams left alive in the AA fields coming into play tonight, and these are 2 of them.
As it went off a Raider stick past that center ice red line. In front, scores! Oh, quick developing play in front, and Cretin-Derham Hall strikes first here in the second.
Huge goal for the Raiders, who strike first. It's the senior Chuck Owens. Physical play waned a bit as tends to happen, but now it's 17 minutes to go in a 1-goal game. Does that desperation factor start to set in?
We welcome you back to Braemar Arena here in Edina. 3rd period time between the Cretin-Derham Hall Raiders. Raiders will force it out. Here come the the Raiders in over the line. Big wind-up tip, scores! Nate Dalton gets a stick. Raiders extend the lead to 2. Kurtz. Long stretch pass here. Scores! Peter Murray from a tough angle, and the Cadets answer. This has been a strong push from the Cadets here in this third period, no question. And they are looking again to get back to the state tournament. First time since 2021. The Raiders looking to three-peat here as section champs. Goaltender off, 6-on-5 advantage for the Cadets. Raiders work it free. It's a break the other way. The shot scores! Chuck Owens, empty netter. Raiders lead by 2. Three-peat for the Raiders. The Premier and Hall Rebels are going back to the state tournament for the 3rd time in a row.
One new place, plus 2 of everything, plus 1 budget. Life math is complicated. Financial experts
Hi there.
make it easier. Affinity Plus. Getting a free streaming trial. Plus, forgetting to cancel it. Life math is complicated. Fewer overdraft fees make it easier. Learn more at affinityplus.org/betterthanfree.
The Rink Live, your home for Minnesota high school boys and girls hockey coverage. From player profiles to team analysis, previews, brackets, insights, and more. Follow your favorite teams from regular season games to tournaments and beyond with The Rink Live. Head to therinklive.com for everything hockey.
Welcome back to Inside the Bubble as we get set to do the AA bracket here. But first, Matt, we're going to pause for a little bit of state tournament trivia that we will answer at the end of the show. So this is a question for you to ponder, chew on a little bit, and we'll have the answer in our close. Which program has the most state tournament appearances of all time? That is our trivia question, and that is something to chew on for the rest of the show. Matt, when we were putting this together, we had a lot of fun coming up with some different trivia questions, bantering back and forth a bit in the group chat. And I'm excited to hear from people, see if they were able to get this one.
Yeah, this might be perhaps one that surprises, one that doesn't. We'll find out, but there's a lot of teams certainly in that category. And I'll give you a hint, they have 34 all-time appearances. So
there you go. There's your hint from our very own Matt Harrington. Let's get into the bracket for the AA field. Our first team is the unseeded co-op of Rochester Century John Marshall, 22-4-2 on the year, a very good record for them. This is the first year of Century and John Marshall co-oping, and they are the champions of Section 1, knocking off Lakeville South in the section final. A section final that went viral for the glass breaking, I believe, in the second period. There was a little bit of a delay there, but it is the first AA state tournament trip for a team from the 507 since 2009 with this Rochester program. And Matt, a very strong record for this team, and I've heard a rumor that they are going to bring a swell of fan support up from Rochester.
yeah, that would not surprise me at all. You mentioned first time since 2009. Century made it that year. And first year as a co-op, too, to get to the state tournament in their first year as a co-op is pretty remarkable. And the numbers are impressive as well, 4.6 goals per game. And some may say they have a little bit of a weaker schedule, but I'll tell you what, they have 22 wins. They know how to win, and so it's going to be a battle certainly for whoever ends up playing them. But it's been an impressive season for Rochester Century John Marshall, officially the Panthers as they take from Century's nickname. But as you mentioned, going to have a big crowd, certainly excited to see them back at the XL Energy Center.
Bright and early Thursday morning, the 11 a.m. game. Their opponent is the number 2 seed, the Chanhassen Storm. The champions of Section 2 will be making their first state tournament trip in school history. What an accomplishment for Coach Bloomfield and the 17 seniors that the Storm will be icing at the X. Their 94.3% penalty kill as tops in the state. And Matt, they solidified it going 3 for 3 against Minnetonka's number 1 power play in the section final. In many ways, their PK and, of course, the outstanding play of the broomstick finalist Cam Hendrickson is what got them into the state tournament field.
Yeah, Brandon, they do have a tremendous talented team. And you look at the candidates, I had mentioned earlier that Minnetonka had a candidate for all 3. Well, I forgot to mention Chanhassen does as well. And it's been an impressive season for them, just 5 losses on the year. They're averaging close to 5 goals per game. Goals against is just above 1 thanks to Cam Hendrickson. And that penalty kill, 94.3% that you mentioned. It's so impressive. This is all the makings of a team that can win a state championship. And their top 4 point scorers all committed Division I colleges, which we'll get to in a second. But it's been an incredible season, really a storybook type season for Chanhassen as they get to state for the first time.
And Matt, we've watched this group grow. Really, I mean, they played so many freshmen a few years ago, which is not very common at the high school level. So we've seen this group grow and grow, and to see them get to state their senior year, really, really impressive. Let's move on to our next quarterfinal matchup.
We will indeed. We'll start with an unseeded team. It is the Cretin-Derham Hall Raiders out of Section 3 AA with a record of 17-10-1. And perhaps the most surprising of the teams to come out of the section playoffs is the Raiders. Even though they've been to state 2 times in a row, they were the number 5 seed in Section 3 AA. They upset Eastview, the top seed, in the semifinals, and then ended up beating their rival, St. Thomas Academy, in the section final. The Raiders get back to state for the 3rd year in a row. And the goals per game, 3.75. Goals against is under 2, which is quite surprising given the fact that they do have the 10 losses. But this is a Raiders team that has been in the state tournament a couple times. They won a quarterfinal game last year. So they have experience, even though it might be a bit of a surprise to some folks. They have found a way, once again, to get the job done in sections.
And they've rounded into form as well. You look at the goaltender, Nelson, who's kind of taken the reins and played really well down the stretch. One player to watch who really stood out to me in that section final was Jimmy Dodig, the Division I commit as well. I believe Merrimack.
Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure we get that right. Yeah, Dodig of Merrimack, an all-action player at both ends of the ice. He leads the offense, and then senior Chuck Owen scores a couple big goals in the section final as the Raiders return.
They do indeed, and they will take on the number 3 seed, which is the Centennial Cougars out of Section 5 AA. Record of 19-7-2 for the Cougars. They are back at the state tournament for the first time since 2018. Their goals per game, very high. They have a high-flying offense, of course, led by Harper Searles with 65 points. Heath Nelson as well on that top line with 63 points. He has 35 goals to lead this Cougars team. And Brandon, I got to call this team their section final. I was very impressed with this Cougars team. They did have 2 different 3-game losing streaks, but you take those away, and boy, this is a team that I think has the potential to win the state tournament.
Yeah, certainly, and there's certainly been a lot of people's picks to maybe spring an upset along the way. As you said, a high-flying team here for Centennial. They had to overcome a very difficult road to the state tournament, of course, in the section semis against Rogers, section final against Maple Grove, to knock off those 2 Northwest suburban powers and get to the state tournament. And you alluded to it in the Mr. Hockey finals. Maybe Harper Searles with a little bit of a chip on the shoulder there, trying to lead his team to a deep run.
And then, of course, goaltender Easton Cody, as well, with a .922 save percentage. He has been impressive down the stretch, and he will be the one likely to lead the Cougars out to state.
All right, into the bottom half of the bracket here. It is the unseeded Elk River Elks, 18-9-1, the champions of Section 8, and making a trip to St. Paul for the first time since 2005. It's kind of unbelievable to think about that with all the great players they have had come through that program in the last 10 years or so. But Elk River, another case of a team getting hot at the right time, 9-1 in the last 10 games. They took a long road trip and won, Matt. They go on the road and win in Moorhead, a little closer to home in the section final. They defeat Buffalo in St. Cloud. But the Elks, and Matt, we talked about Section 8 as wide open all season. No surprise to see a team seeded 4th in Elk River making the trip.
Yeah, it was a strange section playoffs, that's for sure. But Elk River ultimately prevails. And you mentioned first time since 2005. It'll be their 7th trip to the state tournament overall. And a cool note about this Elks team, they're led by head coach Ben Gustafson. He was a member of that Elks team in 2001 that ended up winning the state title. That was, of course, the first one at the XL Energy Center as well. So Coach Gustafson getting to return to the very bench that he played on. So I'm sure that will be a special moment for the Elks as well. But eight straight wins for Elk River entering the state tournament. So it's been impressive to see their growth throughout the season. And they do have a key win as well over Centennial, the 3 seed that happened a few weeks ago.
Well, great note there, Matt. Let's check out their opponent. Number 1 seed, the Edina Hornets, 23-4-1, tied for the best record overall in this year's state tournament field with St. Cloud Cathedral in Class A. Edina, the champions of Section 6. Of course, they had a tough road to get there as well. A nail-biter of a game against BSM where they had to come from behind in the section semis. Bobby Cowan nets the game-winning goal with under 15 seconds to go. And this is a stingy Hornets team defensively, as always, Matt. Number 3 in the state in goals against, behind only Minnetonka, who, of course, did not make the field. Chan was number 2 in goals against. So no surprise to see Edina Chan as the 1 and 2 seeds in this year's state tournament. And you mentioned it with the Brimstick finalists. Joe Bertram has got his year after Robbie Klarkowski graduated, and Bertram has been phenomenal.
Yeah, Bertram was outstanding, and you look at some of the numbers for him this year, .938 save percentage, 4 shutouts as well. We know the Hornets always play a difficult schedule. They did play the Elks as well earlier this year. They beat them 4-0 as part of the Edina Holiday Classic. So this will be the second meeting between those 2 teams. But of course, that was a long time ago in December. Things change over the course of the year. So we'll find out what the Hornets can do against the Elks.
Let's look at our 4-5 matchup now, Matt. A little bit of an orange flavor to this game.
Yes, absolutely an orange flavor. The number 5 team in this 4-5 game is the Grand Rapids Thunderhawks, representing Section 7. And they are back in the state tournament for the first time since 2017 when they won it all. Of course, that was against another orange team, the Moorhead Spuds. And the Thunderhawks, with an impressive 8-2 record over their last 10. They do have the most losses in the AA field at 17-11, but they did beat Elk River earlier this season. That was part of the Edina Holiday Classic, and 3 of the 4 teams from the Edina Holiday Classic ended up making the state tournament. Edina, Elk River, and Grand Rapids. The only team that didn't make it was Eden Prairie, who also had a good season in their own right, but got here on a double overtime win. It took a review for Grand Rapids to get here, but they do end up making the state tournament. The Garski brothers, Nathan and Jacob, have been impressive, 36 and 35 points respectively. And head coach Grant Clafton making the state tournament in his first year as the head coach of this Thunderhawk squad.
Yeah, Matt, this season coming a bit full circle for us. Of course, we were in Grand Rapids on opening night for Hockey Night in Minnesota, and they make it all the way down to the X Their sophomore goaltender Carter Casey was the toast of the Bantam AA state tournament last season. Heard a lot of great reviews on him. He's hit the ground running in his high school career as they have three very good goaltenders, but Casey has kind of taken over the net as this season has gone on. It's a stingy defensive unit. They have a lot of good defensemen as well, and excited to see what the Thunderhawks can do in this 4-5 matchup.
And they will be taking on the number 4 seed. It is the White Bear Lake Bears, another orange team, as Brandon alluded to. 27-1, the record for White Bear Lake on the season. They have an impressive record against tournament teams. They are 5-1 with their only loss coming to Centennial. This will be their first appearance since 2019, led by Mr. Hockey finalist, of course, Nolan Road. And the Bears are going to try and snap a long and historic losing streak. They have never won a quarterfinal game in their 19 appearances. And boy, they would love to get that burden off their shoulders, wouldn't they?
Matt, it hardly feels real to say that you can go that many times to the state tournament and not win a quarterfinal game, but perhaps they'll channel a little inspiration from the Minnesota Twins snapping their historic playoff losing streak last fall. But this is going to be a battle of goaltenders. I'm excited to see this one. Leo Gabriel had a shutout in the section final against Hill Murray after they scored very, very early in that game with Nolan Road. So it's the Bears and the Thunderhawks in the nightcap from St. Paul on Thursday.
And one more note to add, Leo Gabriel, you mentioned a shutout. He has 8 on the year, which is extremely impressive for a AA goaltender. So Gabriel will be the one in between the pipes, certainly, for White Bear Lake.
Bears with a first-year head coach as well.
That's right. Chris Anderson getting the head coaching position this offseason and taking the Bears to the state tournament.
All right, Matt, we have one more cinematic recap to look at, and it is Class AA number 1 seed Edina as they defeated section number 1 seed Wayzata in the 6AA final at Bloomington Ice Garden. Let's take a look at our final cinematic game recap.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from the Bloomington Ice Garden. It is raucous and on fire. The Edina Hornets and the Wayzata Trojans squaring off in section 6AA final round action. Winner goes to the state tournament. Losers go home. Matt Harrington joins me here in the booth, and you know it's wall-to-wall people. It's busy. It's a start of 3 huge nights of finals right here on the KD St. Hubert and Cowan ready to face off at center ice, and we're underway from the Bloomington Ice Garden. Thanks for joining us here at the MNHockey.tv. G forward, going to angle to the right wing side. He was bothered on that play on his way in. There's a shot. Scores! Step was there, and he goes up for the win and the Trojan lead. West out front. Oh, there's a chance. That was Pitsy out front. What a save made. And a great look there as they get into the little rough stuff in front of the goaltender. His brother Finn back up to Kate. Oh, that's a second big hit there by Cowan. He's throwing the leather here tonight. And that's going to do it for the first period. Trojans score early, and they take the 1-0 lead. Cowan as he's going to try to work on an angle against Matson. Somehow got it ahead. Now he gets it back from West. His shot was blocked in front. Scores! Mason Rock is caught there. He kept it alive in the ball. Walked out the slot, took the rebound. Tied it up right. That's a big hit by Warpinski. Now it's Halverson. Whoa, he gets corralled up high by Clark. Schneider and Harlow come together. A good idea. Whoa, in comes Warpinski. Right now, it's not a good idea for either team. Back behind the net it goes. Halverson looked out front. Puck rattles. Scores! Doherty. The goal is a foul right on the hands. Turk did not get the ball down on it because they kept putting it away. Face-off win. Peckham the rims. And that does it for the period. Hornets score 2 as they go up 2-1 here after 2 periods. Over. Here comes Dexheimer. He's going to go for it. Dexheimer on Finney St. Hubert. He robs it on goal. Coast to coast on the PK. The Hornets go up 3-1. They advance it ahead. Here comes Nevers. Nevers. There's a shot. Scores! Disaster goal. Turns out a perfect capture. Nevers to Cowan. What a rally there. The Hornets are the Section 6 AA champions. Back to the state tournament they go.
And there you go. Those are our cinematic section final recaps. We had Jack Jones on the work for those. He did a terrific job 3 nights in a row. I was blown away, Matt, seeing those videos. Just unbelievable energy around those section finals. Once again, it was a great week last week.
Absolutely, and it helped that all those buildings were sold out too. Of course, Bloomington Ice Garden, we were packed in like sardines in a can there at Bloomington. But it was an incredible environment for all 3 of those games, and I had the privilege of being at 2 of them, and it was a lot of fun. And I know you had to be at a couple as well, so that certainly must have been fun as well.
It was. We overlapped for one, and then we each hit up the other. So we were in the house for all of those last week. All right, as promised, we're going to answer our state tournament trivia question. We'll remind you of the question. Which program has the most state tournament appearances? And Matt, you mentioned the number earlier. Which program is it?
It is the Roseau Rams with 34 appearances all time. It has, of course, now been 10 years since the Rams have been to the state tournament. So it's been a while since they've added to that total. Hill Murray is not far behind them with 33, and Edina just hit the 31 mark this year. But this, of course, will be the 80th tournament, hard to believe, for the boys high school hockey tournament. But you look at the history, and Roseau being at just about half of them is awfully impressive. A little bit less than half, but still you get some historic programs in the mix, and Roseau certainly among those.
You know who's been at more than half of those 80 state tournaments?
Who's that?
Lou Nanny.
That's right.
Congrats to Lou
Yes.
on state tournament number 60. This will be his final behind the mic. That's almost unbelievable to think about. 3/4 of the state tournaments, boys high school state tournaments behind the mic. So we salute a legend, Lou Nanny, and look forward to seeing him around here for his final state tournament. Matt, any final thoughts as we get set to go into state tournament week? Best week of the year, as many people say, and it all gets started tomorrow.
Yeah, looking forward to it. The Class A tournament's going to be a little bit of deja vu from last year. Only new team being the New Ulm Eagles, who are replacing Laverne out of Section 3A. And then, of course, on the AA side, 6 of the 8 teams that are new. The only returners are Edina and Cretin-Derham Hall, who are each making their 3rd straight tournament appearance. So it's going to be exciting to see some new programs. Chanhassen, first time ever. Elk River, first time since 2005. And Rochester Century, John Marshall, first time as a co-op, first time overall since 2009. So it's going to be fun to see some new teams at the X.
I think we have a great mix of teams this year in both Class A and AA. Both are going to set up to be competitive, maybe for different reasons, but maybe we're going to get just absolute chaos and upsets, and that's what we love about the state tournament. You just never know. We're going to sign off here from Inside the Bubble, our latest episode. I'm Brandon Spratt, joined by Matt Harrington. Pete Wagner, our executive producer. Enjoy the state tournament this week, everyone, and we will be back with our special show as we announce the Reed Larson Award winner coming up this weekend from the Let's Play Hockey Expo. Until then, signing off.